here. Usually you will see this place just teeming with coaches and athletes and technical jury people and a lot of people behind the scenes, but we get the start all to ourselves. So I want to talk about something really important within sliding. It's something that we don't see on TV at all because it's not like athletes are going to talk about their steel temps, but this right here is a control steel temp. So it's just an old runner that they've cut up and they keep on this stand, and this permanently stays at the start. So you would never notice this if you came to the start because it just sits on the side, but this is why it's important. So when athletes come to the track, temperature is a big deal. They're always checking the weather, they're checking ice temperature. And the deal with this is that they're trying to make sure everybody's steel temps are around the similar temperature, because if a steel temp is hotter, then it's technically going to go faster. So no heating allowed inside of the sled, whereas there was rumors back in the day that sometimes countries would put heaters on their steels and it would make them go super fast. So this is to stop people from doing that. So what happens is the race director will come, or whoever's in charge of the start, and they come put a little temperature gauge right in the middle of the steel, and they make sure to do it in the middle and not on the sides because temperature can vary. And they'll write it on a whiteboard somewhere, wherever the whiteboard is. And then all the coaches will look at that temperature and they try and get their own sleds within, don't quote me on this, I don't remember what the number is, but you have to get it within, I think, 2 to 3 degrees on both sides of the original temp. So let's say it's a 1 degree Celsius steel temp, then you can have the steels be up to 3 degrees or -2. There you go, if I did the math right. It's cold out here, so I'm not thinking straight. So anyways, this is what that is. It's really important. Athletes can get disqualified all the time for having hot steels, but it's actually not the athlete's fault when that happens because the coaches are in charge of the sled. So when athletes come to the start, behind this, there's a whole area behind this beautiful wall. Athletes will leave their sleds and they go in the building and they get changed. And then coaches will see, maybe we can get some footage of some coaches. They will take ice or snow and they'll start rubbing the steels to make them colder to get them ready to be steel temped for their run. So anyways, that was a whole mouthful about temperature, but that's what's happening with sleds. There's so much that goes behind getting ready for these races, and it's just, there's a lot of thought behind it. So anyways, this prevents people from cheating. No cheaters allowed in the sport of luge. And if you go to any start, you'll find this, a rusty old thing, and no athlete steels look this rusty. I guess I just have to point that out because there's a lot of pride taken in steels. Usually they're mirrors, they're super clean. They sand them for hours. That's another thing we can talk about later. That's a whole other discussion. So anyways, when you watch these races, just know nobody's cheating. No one has hot steels. And if they do, they're getting disqualified. All thanks to this little guy right here. All right, we just did a video on steel temps. We shot something previously and we showed them like the control steel and pretty much how it's so people don't cheat, essentially. Yeah. So Emily Sweeney, she just commentated on the world feed on our first run. I want to ask you about it, what you think about the second run, but I do want to touch on steel temperature really quick because it's a piece of the sport that people don't know about.
Right.
Like they don't think about it. So like as an athlete, like, are you thinking about that, or is that a coach's thing? Or
I'm fortunate that we have enough coaches at the start that they really focus on it more. The only time that I really need to pay attention to my steel temp is when I compete in nationals, so that when we don't have coaches doing it for us. But yeah, it's interesting too. They changed the rules a few years ago where now it doesn't need to go below 5 below 0. So there is a little bit, if it gets really, really cold, there's only so cold you can make certain materials go. So that was an interesting change in the rules, but it definitely plays a good element into the sport, because imagine you see it in training times when some people heat their steels before they go, and it creates really deep grooves in the start, which is unfortunate too.
So how do people, if you were to heat your steels, or like give a little, there's so many stories we could go into about this, and like people want to know about this stuff. So like if someone was to play mind games with you in training, or like if they're trying to heat their steels, like how can you use steel temps to your advantage? Yeah, like how can you manipulate steel temps?
Yeah, so some people will just you'll keep your sled inside a really long time, and then or you'll keep your runner guards and your bag on so it doesn't get to cool down with the outside air temperature. People will play mind games, and it goes both ways too. We call it sandbagging, where people will put like some really extra tape on the sides of their sleds just to mess with the aerodynamics in training, so you can't tell how fast they can go, whereas some other people try and play it so they're going so fast. So at the end of the day, like
You race,
just slide.
Racer, because in training, athletes are looking at other people's time. So there'll be a timesheet that everybody will get in their emails, or they'll pick it up, and everyone's watching, okay, how fast did she go? How fast did I go? So there's a whole mental part to it. And it sucks. Well, I guess you're, or you could be the one doing it. Have you ever done that?
No, I mean, I'm definitely very open with my teammates. If I say, hey, like I haven't taped my boxes, or I'm changing my equipment this way, I'm very open with my teammates, and I'm lucky, Team USA, we've put a squash on any of the mind games within the team. 15 years ago, that maybe have been a different story.
No more hazing with Team USA.
But I think it's important. I mean, you see it that sometimes in other countries there's a bit more competitiveness within the team. But for me, I think it's important to be completely open with my teammates. And then I kind of keep my own mental bank of, okay, I know my tape is off. I know that I can have a little bit more time going down, but I don't do anything wild.
Sliding is hard enough just to get down the track clean. So I'm sure adding all of that is just so much. But I would love to do a whole segment on stuff like that, like the intricacies of taping boxes, which I'll explain in a second because she's got a job to do in a second. But just, I don't know, so many pieces that fans don't even know or see. So anyways, let's talk about the race today. First run, were there any surprises for you? Kind of cool, Madeline Igla just getting in there on the podium.
Yeah, I would say nothing major, but I was surprised. Unfortunately, Diana had a pretty bad start curve, so I see her farther back than I expected to see. So Anna really has more of a lead than I expected. But other than that, the people are about who I would expect to be up in the top there. But it's a real race for 2 through the next spots on the podium, 5 and 3rd, 2 through 5. I have no idea what's going to happen. I know Diana's going to make a push for that. Talbot's, she lost by 1,000th yesterday, the title, so is she going to have enough in the tank to come back those 700s she's behind? I don't know. It's going to be some tight racing.
So with this track, is it easier to make up time or hard? Because it's a driving track, there's speed tracks, there's driving tracks. So like if you're back 700ths, are you thinking like, okay, I could do this, I got this? Or are you thinking like someone's gonna have to really screw up or something?
I mean, at the end of the day, you just need to do the best you can do, but 700s is a significant gap. So I would feel pretty good. You don't feel like you have someone breathing down your neck if you're Anna, but everyone else, that is a significant gap. It's tighter with 2nd through 5th for sure. But knowing the mistakes that people had, that's where I put my focus on. After my first run, if I say, hey, I know I have time after that start curve, that's what I'm going to focus on. And so if they clean up that, it's gonna be tight. I hope we see some different colors on the flags.
Do you know the German anthem by now? Do you know the words?
Do you, Kate?
I can harmonize. Do you want to should we sing it?
No, thank you.
We can harmonize together.
I think we do. We knew from when we were juniors. So yes, I hum along to it.
Let's try. Ready?
Oh gosh.
Deutschland, Deutschland.
I'm not gonna do it.
I don't know the right words. Okay, you guys have a few minutes, so you go get ready.
All right.
Are you placing any bets on the next run?
No, I'm just excited to see. I think it's going to be really tight at the end. I hope to see some Americans throw down some clean runs and some speed, but we just struggled finding some speed this year.
Well, USA, we've got a few more World Cups to go, so it's not over. And it's a rebuild year.
Well, I'm hoping to be back in it next week, so cheer me on next week.
That's why we're lucky to have her, because she's going to be sliding next week. So anyways, thank you for joining us. Good luck with Tim.
Thank you.
And we'll see you in Altenburg. We'll see you back on the podium in Altenburg.
I love the vibes. Thank you.
That was great. That was a great response. Thank you for that. I almost got her to sing with me. That would have been incredible. Okay, we're going to hop over to the live feed in a few minutes, but before we do that, we have a POV camera going down the track. We showed it yesterday. Johannes Ludwig is the one narrating it, because we want you to see why this track is difficult and just what makes it so exciting. So here, check it out. If you've never been on a sled before, here you go.